Hello, fellow connoisseurs, and welcome to Cook Carl's crazy cosmic culinary creations. That obviously makes me to be Cook Carl. Yes, I shall be showing you recipes that work splendidly for cosmic themed cocktail parties and other things of that fancy. I have something made for Mercury through Saturn, and we shan't bother ourselves with Uranus and Neptune. Let us begin. We will be starting with Mercury, a cheese dish and bread dish. So get some cheeses, you will need some garlic for flavor and an Italian dressing of your choice. And then also you're going to put this into a pan and get it nice and hot and cooked together very nicely. Nice fire. Once you get it to about here, you want to be sure to stir the cheese so it will not stick to the pan. You want it to stick to your bread, not to the pan. So be sure to keep spinning it, spinning it, spinning it. Here is a pretzel bread loaf we shall be using as our bread. Put it into the toaster oven to make it nice and toasted and crunchy. It's going to pair greatly with this cheese. Spread out your bread on your plate, put the cheese into the middle, and enjoy. All you will simply do is take some of it and yummy. Now just look at the cheese stretch. Now let's take a moment and enjoy the stretch. It is like that from a pizza commercial. It is great. And now for Venus. It is going to be a rice fried ball, so you need rice. You want to get some oil into a pan, get some vegetables, onions and celery. Throw them into the pan, get them nice and soft. You want them to be small pieces so that you can make a ball out of them. Look at the detail. Isn't that great? You're going to have a little bit of salt and some pepper. When your rice is done cooking, add some cheeses and an egg to make it nice and soft and tasty and make into a ball. Put some meat into your pan, and it's going to be a ground hamburger. It is half rice, half hamburger. And look at that. Great focus. Focus, cameraman. Thank you. All right. We should put some pepper. This is what the finished product will be. And once you put the rice in, once your mixture is done cooking, you're going to want to spread it out in a cooking pan so it can cool down faster. You're going to be handling it to make it into a ball, and you don't want to burn your little handsies, do you? Here's a final picture of the final product. And then, so we're going to have a gravy going as well, equal parts flour to butter. It's going to be a medium brown gravy. Be sure to keep stirring the gravy as well. You don't want that to burn. And you want to cook out that flour taste. Make your balls of rice and meat. Get them ready to fry. And so if you have a fry daddy, that'll work great here in a moment. You're going to take the rice balls, you're going to put them in flour, into egg, into breadcrumb. I've used Italian breadcrumbs. And then you'll throw them into the fryer. I had made my own little deep fat fryer by putting just some canola oil into a pan on the stove. When they're done to a nice golden brown like this, put them on a paper towel plate to get some of the grease off. And when you're ready, you can look at this beautiful specimen of a Venus rice meatball. Isn't that beautiful? Ah, yes. And then put some gravy on to make it extra nice and hot. And when you cut into it, there should be lots of steam that come out of it. If you did it right, you'll see the steam, it'll taste good, and it'll be one beautiful dish. Now that that is done, oh, hang on. Ooh, focus, cameraman. Now we shall be making a drink to wash all that down. You're going to need to start with a blue sports drink of sorts, a coconut, which will be used later. I will show you how. Isn't that great? It's going to be a little bit of a munchie with your drink. And then we got some tea. This is a Ruibo's tea. It's kind of vanilla-like, very subtle, pretty strong aftertaste, however. We're going to use that very little of this. And then some soy milk. I prefer soy milk just because I'm lactose intolerant, makes me gassy. And you're going to use some grapes too to add a little bit of meat, so to speak, into your smoothie. Okay, once you have all the ingredients, start with the soy milk, use a little bit of the tea, and you're going to put in some of the blue sports drink to make it nice and blue. This is for Earth, I failed to mention, so we want it to be blue. And then once you have those in, put in the grapes. And because we were going to be using a blender, we are going to want to put some ice cubes in it so as to keep the drink from frothing and getting hot. Once you put it in the blender, it turns into this nice kind of purpley drink. Serve it with a nice bendy straw, because bendy straws are the best, and a piece of coconut so you can have a snack with your smoothie. Now that we have a drink, we can make an entree. We will be doing Mars, and we will be making a stir fry. You're going to want to get your pan with some oil nice and hot. You're going to want to boil some rice, and I put some curry powder in there just for flavor. Here's the oiled pan. We're going to start with some bell peppers, red bell peppers, because this is Mars, and we're going to get them all sliced up, and eventually we're going to julienne them all nice and thin slices. And then we're gonna put some red cabbage in. I like red cabbage. You're gonna put the red bell peppers in first because the cabbage will burn if you put them at the same time. Wait for those to get soft. While you're waiting, cut up some meat. We're using some ribeye steak. It's looking very nice there. Once the peppers get soft, you can add the cabbage, and I even put a little bit of pepper and garlic powder in there to add some flavor. We don't want to use too much salt because we'll be using much soy sauce later. Once your vegetables are nice and soft, add your steak into the middle to get it nice and brown. You can cook it to any degree you like. I prefer medium, and so there'll be a little bit of pink, but not raw. Once that is done, you're going to add your rice, my curry rice. Put mushrooms near the end because they don't need long to cook. And here's what it looks like. I cannot see that dark, cameraman. Thank you. That is what the final product should look like. Enjoy with chopsticks. It tastes better. Now for Jupiter, we shall prepare some rice, but my way of cooking is different. See the level of where the rice is? That's all the water you need, and you're going to get that water to a simmer. A simmer looks kind of like that. Now this water needs to be salted, remember that, it's for flavor. Put your rice in there, put the lid on it, and take it off the flame, and cook it for the same amount of time as the box. For the meatball, get some hamburger. For Jupiter, we're making a large meatball. I seasoned it with some pepper and Italian seasonings to make it flavorful. I put some Italian breadcrumbs, even more Italian seasoning because I love the taste of that. I even put a little bit of crushed red pepper because I like a spicy meatball. We're going to start with the small piece of the meatball and get that cooking so we make sure the entire meatball is cooked all the way through. Look at the oil licking at the meatball. Once that is done, you will wrap it in more raw meat and do the process over again. Here is what the final raw meatball shall look like, the large final product. And then you're going to throw that onto the pan. Look at how big that meatball is. That is one massive meatball. Be careful when making the ball. You will want to make sure it stays nice and tight. Get a sauce ready with the meat grease we have left over to add some flavor. I even throw in some spinach to make it a little bit healthier with that grease. Here is the meatball that got messed up along the way. It was not made tightly. I scold the chef who did that. Put the pasta noodles around it, put some sauce on top, and then add some pieces of cheese. I have some mozzarella cheese added on top. It's a beautiful entree. And now for our dessert. We're going to preheat the oven first to 350 degrees. We're going to cream some butter and sugar together, get them nice and blended together. Creaming does not mean you turn it into a cream. Just you put the two together until they make a sort of mixture. What does that mixture look like? It looks somewhat like this right here. Once you get to that point, you're going to add some egg, and it will look something like this. Once you add the egg, you're going to want to put in a little bit of vanilla, and you're going to start putting in your flour. You're going to put it in slowly because you don't want to powder your nose any more than you should have to. Keep the mixer kind of on low. That'll help it from puffing up. And if it seems to be sticking on the sides, get a little spatula in there to scrape at the edges. There's what the dough should kind of look like. Now, before we put the dough anywhere, be sure to oil your pan and then put the dough in there so that it does not stick to the pan when you get it out. Put it in for about a half an hour. While that is cooking, you're going to make some sauces. We're going to do an orange sauce, which has powdered sugar, orange rind, and orange concentrate, and you just mix that together until it makes this very thick and yummy sort of icing. We're going to end up sticking this into the fridge, and it's going to contrast a hot caramel sauce we'll make after. So I'll throw that into the fridge once it is ready. For the caramel sauce, we're going to have some butter in a pan. We're going to throw in some dark brown sugar, get those nice and cooked together. It'll make a mixture somewhat like that, and the longer you cook it, the thicker it'll be. Look at how dark brown that is. You want the sauce to be kind of saucy, not very watery, but more saucy. See how thick it is? It is okay to look at it. I do it all the time. Once the cake is done, bring it out and let it cool. Put it on a cooling rack, and then when you are able to do that, take it out, and you take out the section of the cake you want. We're going to do a circular part. You're going to add the sauces, the orange on the outside, caramel on the inside, and look, I even got the cameraman to zoom in on this deliciousness. This turned out quite beautifully. They pair quite nicely together, I must say. Well, wasn't that just dauntingly fun? We went through all the planets in the solar system and enjoyed every bit of it. We had 2 appetizers of Mercury and Venus. We had a smoothie drink with Earth. We had 2 entrees of Mars and Jupiter, and we finished with a wonderful dessert of Saturn and its wonderful saucy rings. shall have some more installments of other planets and other parts of the cosmological graphs and such for recipes for any other cosmic cocktails and such of that fancy. I hope you enjoyed the video and have a fabulous day. Quiet. Blasted chair and these noises.